What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for DraftKings and FanDuel. This time for the single game showdown slate on Monday Night Football to close out Week 11. We have the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. In this video, we will discuss the injuries and usage notes for each team that impact tonight's game. We will look at low risk lineup construction tips and core DFS plays. And then, the reason most of you are here, we'll give you tips and strategies on how to win the biggest prizes that DraftKings and FanDuel have to offer. Welcome, I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. And as you see on screen here, before we get into tonight's game, I do want to give a shout out to our member RR, who took down the play action, the 20 max, in Thursday night's single game showdown slate. Used a lot of the strategies that we talked about in this video. He credited the Occupy model in our Discord. If you're in our Discord and you saw after the game his screenshot, so a big shout out to him. 10 lineups, which is crazy to turn into 30,000 in the really difficult contest to win with over 118,000 entries. So shout out to RR. Big congrats. Show him some love in the comments below. Which of you are going to be next to see your screenshot posted here on the channel? So let's get into tonight's game now. Cowboys and Raiders, and let's go to tonight's lineup screen. And we'll start with the visiting Dallas Cowboys. And I know their defense has been bad, but all of the notes point to their defense getting healthier and stronger. First of all, they traded for Quinnen Williams, stud defensive tackle from the New York Jets, and he said he's fully understands the playbook, so he'll be good to go. And that'll be a big upgrade to the middle of their defensive line. Now, they're also likely to get back both of their starting safeties that they've been out with for a while off injured reserve in Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson. Monitor activations at 4 p.m. Eastern today to ensure that they are activated off injured reserve. But both the coaching comments and reporter comments believe that both of these guys will return tonight for Dallas. So we got a new defensive line starter. That's incredible. 2 starting safeties back. Should be a big bump up to Dallas's defense tonight. Not an injury, but let's look at the running back situation really quickly, because before their bye week, actually, even before that, remember it's Javonte Williams leading the way for Dallas. At the beginning of the season, it was Miles Sanders spelling him. Miles Sanders suffered that injury. He's on injured reserve. And then finally, Jaden Blue, who was inactive, a healthy scratch most of the first few weeks of the season, he got some work. Let's bring up Jaden Blue's game logs here. And you don't see anything for week 9. It's because he was a healthy scratch. There was some coaching comments. They wanted to get Malik Davis more involved for whatever reason. And so he was a healthy scratch in week 9, and Malik Davis promptly rewarded them with 1 carry for 3 yards. So didn't do a bunch to necessarily supplant Jaden Blue as a running back too. Maybe it was a 1-week benching, not entirely sure. But coming out of the bye, you have to expect that Jaden Blue has returned to the running back 2 duties. Malik Davis is still on the practice squad, so he would have to be called up anyways. And we would know if Blue is not the running back 2 because he would be inactive at 6:50 tonight. So we expect Blue to return to his running back 2 duties and should be somewhat of a value on a slate that's pretty tough for value at $1,400 on DraftKings. And Jaden Blue over on FanDuel is $3,400, so a little more expensive over there. All right, let's go back to DraftKings. One final usage note for the Cowboys. There is an underperforming wide receiver in this game, and it is CeeDee Lamb. Anytime we get a stud wide receiver as an underperforming wide receiver, we got to hammer that at captain. So let's get CeeDee Lamb as much into our high-risk lineups as we can. We know underperforming wide receivers, our list that we post on our site every week, have been crushing this season. Let's see if CeeDee Lamb can continue that on tonight's showdown slate. And how I qualified for the World Fantasy Football Championship a couple of years ago was with an underperforming stud wide receiver in DK Metcalf on a showdown slate. So let's see if we can replicate that tonight. All right, moving over to the Raiders, relatively healthy. The only injury is their right guard, Jackson Powers-Johnson, is placed on injured reserve. So he's out for tonight. No other injuries to speak of on their injury report. But that combination of their right guard going on injured reserve and Dallas adding Quinnen Williams, that's certainly scary for the prospects of the Raiders offense. All right, moving on to low-risk contests in DFS, 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads, try to beat half the field to double your money. This is where you want all the core plays into your lineup. And even if you're not playing low-risk contests, the majority of the plays that we use in low-risk contests will be the core of your high-risk contest as well. You're just making 1 or 2 pivots here and there. So if we try to lock up all the scoring and play both quarterbacks, both running backs, it's not really that easy to do given the lack of value on the slate. Not to mention we would be leaving out either CeeDee Lamb or Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers is, I would say, inexplicably priced at $8,000. Yes, he only scored 3.7 points last week, but 46 points the week before. And knowing his target share in this offense, Brock Bowers will be extremely popular at just $8,000 tonight. So he's probably a low risk play as a result. And you could probably even use him at captain. But either way, I think you want to play Dak Prescott, Ashton Genty. And now the choice is between Javonte Williams and Geno Smith. Let's get Brock Bowers in there as well. And let's just see what both of these look like now. Javonte Williams, slight favorite. Workhorse running back. Geno dealing with the offensive line injuries. Let's play Javonte and see what it looks like. Still, that's pretty tough. We could go down to Jaden Blue, 1,400. We probably want Brandon Aubrey in the dome. Can't even fit him in. This makes it tough. But this is to where we go to maybe captaining Brock Bowers, which I think will be a popular move in low risk and small field contests because you need some salary savings at the top. So we play Brock Bowers. Prescott, Genty. We'll go Javonte here. Let's try Jaden Blue. And now we could get up to Brandon Aubrey if we wanted to. The other option is if we play Geno, and we might want to if we play Bowers at captain instead of Javonte Williams, and we'll save $1,000 in salary. If we play Aubrey, 3,400. Now we can play the uber popular Tyler Lockett. If we look at the routes run since Tyler Lockett was traded to the Raiders, and remember Tyler Lockett played with Geno Smith in Seattle. We look at the last game for the Raiders routes run. It was Trey Tucker, their wide receiver, run 37 routes. Brock Bowers 31. Tyler Lockett 28. So 28 routes at $3,400 and got targets. 6 targets at $3,400. We'll take that every single time. So you can comfortably fit in Tyler Lockett here. So this is probably the way to go. Yes, we're leaving out Javonte Williams. Yes, we're not captaining a player from the favorite team. But I think it's a tough slate in terms of pricing and the studs involved. I think this is the way that you want to go. By the way, after Tyler Lockett, it was Dante Thornton, who we're going to keep recommending on this channel, even if he's not doing much. But 23 routes. 23 routes. Can he catch a deep ball? He had a really long deep ball went through his hands last week. Let's see if they give him another shot tonight. Then Michael Mayer, number 2 tight end, he ran 16 routes. And it was Jack Besh, the rookie receiver, ran 8 routes. So that's the breakdown for the Raiders receiving core. All right, let's go over to FanDuel and see what it looks like over here. You could fit the 4 main guys in Prescott, Javonte Williams, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, but you would have to fade Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers is cheaper over here as well, $9,600. And you'd have to punt 2 spots, and it's really not something that you want to do. So I think because Javonte Williams is 12.2, $2,000 more expensive than Geno, I think you want to go with Geno over here, especially with the half-point PPR scoring. So let's go Dak at MVP. We'll play Genty. And again, you may be wondering, Brian, CeeDee Lamb is an underperforming wide receiver. Why are we not playing him? Well, he's still the highest priced player on the slate. He has a high ceiling, but his floor is a little bit lower, and he's tougher to fit in low-risk contests. All right, let's go to Geno. And let's try Brock Bowers here. And now we can go down, and Ryan Flanoy is now the wide receiver 3 for Dallas. If you remember, if you tuned into our last Dallas Showdown slate preview video on this channel, we talked about how he overtook Jalen Tolbert as the wide receiver 3 for Dallas. And that was indicative, and nothing changed with the trade deadline. We look at their routes in the game right before the bye. It was Pickens and Lamb ran 48 routes. Jake Ferguson ran 46. Ryan Flanoy ran 33. Kevontae Turpin ran 12, and Jalen Tolbert ran just 4 routes. So Flanoy is the easy, popular value on FanDuel tonight, and now we can easily play Brandon Aubrey. So I really think this is the way to go on FanDuel. So you can lock in Javonte Williams touchdowns tonight. In fact, if you just fade Javonte Williams in low risk, just bet him to score 2 touchdowns on FanDuel DraftKings, and that's a nice little hedge you can play with tonight. All right, let's go back to DraftKings. And let's get a sip of water, and let's talk about high-risk contests, leagues, GPP, satellites. Really interesting slate for that tonight. By the way, let's look at RR's lineup really quickly, just to give some concrete proof. So we had a popular captain in Travion Henderson, nearly 20%. That's fine. But RR offset that with rules in the lineup builder and using our showdown guide. 4% John Mechie, 3% Jeremy Ruckert. So that fully offset for him to get a unique lineup in 118,000 entries. That is incredibly impressive. And remember in that video, we talked about New England heavy lineups being the most popular, 60% of the field. Here you had 3 Jets in this lineup. Not many lineups played 3 Jets. Fields, Mechie, Ruckert to go with the 3 from New England. Incredible lineup for RR. Let's see if we can replicate that success tonight. All right. Tonight, the field, though, will be building relatively evenly. So 3.5-point spread, you would think it would lean in Dallas's favor, but most of the values are on Vegas's side. We look at the values below the kickers and defenses. And again, Flanoy, wide receiver 3 for Dallas. but he's priced up at 4,600 here over on DraftKings. Won't be that popular. We have the defensive Cowboys. Michael Merritt will be popular at 4K. Tyler Lockett will be the most popular at 3,400. Kevontae Turpin, not too popular at $3,000. Tolbert only running 4 or 5 routes a game. No one will touch him. Raheem Mostert, running back 2, only 2,400, but he's only playing like 8 to 10 snaps a game, not getting that much work at all. Thornton, no one's going to touch him except for us here at Occupy. Schoonmaker, who is 1,600, he'll run a couple routes. He ran 4 routes in their last game. Jaden Blue will probably be the most popular value under $2,000. Best will run a couple of routes. Bachman ran 2 routes last week. Lepke, the fullback, will play some snaps, but it's tough for value. So when we think about that, it's almost similar to last night's game, how much tougher the value was for the Eagles and Lions game. Let's think about some captains that we can play. So in terms of our Occupy model, which ranks every player on FanDuel and DraftKings, let's compare it to who it likes for DraftKings at captain and who it likes at MVP on FanDuel. The model captain rankings for tonight at Occupy Fantasy, again, which you can access for as little as $7 a week, get you access to all sports. So unsurprisingly, it has CeeDee Lamb, underperforming wide receiver, as the number 1 option at MVP tonight. And I think if you're playing one lineup, you play CD and you live or die by the sword of underperforming wide receivers. So CeeDee Lamb at captain, he is number 1. Brock Bowers is number 2 in our model on DraftKings. He's another option you could play at captain. Now he will be relatively popular, as we said. Javonte Williams. So despite not playing him in low-risk lineups, despite him popping in the model, he's a great high-risk play. I don't think because of his price he'll be too popular at captain. So you can get Javonte Williams as a great pivot, especially in a lower scoring game environment for tonight. Javonte Williams. And then the next tier down, those 3 are in their own tier in the model. The next tier down is actually George Pickens. So 2 Dallas wide receivers in the top 4 of the model tonight. On FanDuel, this is interesting. Quarterbacks not in the top 2. Let's go to FanDuel. Javonte Williams is number 1 in the model tonight for FanDuel. So a great option at MVP, Javonte Williams. Number 2 is the underperformer in CeeDee Lamb. So let's get him on FanDuel as well. Let's not just limit ourselves to DraftKings. And then it's Dak. So it's Javonte Williams, and then it's CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And then it's Aston Genty, number 4 in the model. And then below that, we have the secondary guys in Brock Bowers and George Pickens. So I think on FanDuel, you can spread it out a little bit. On DraftKings, I really like going heavily on the stud pass catchers in CeeDee Lamb, in Brock Bowers, and then mixing in Javonte Williams as well. Now, because there won't be one runaway captain option, unlike Devon Achane on the Sunday morning slate where he was 45% at captain, the most popular guys in this game will be 10 to maybe someone gets up to 20, 25%, but I expect between 10 to 20%. We'll need some low-owned flex plays as well. So low-owned guys, again, just to recap, we've talked about them, is Dante Thornton, it's Jack Besh, Kevontae Turpin, Raheem Mostert, Schoonmaker. Ryan Flanoy will be low-owned on DraftKings, but again, will be popular on FanDuel, so it depends on which site you're playing on. So we'll have to mix in one of those guys probably, or leave some salary on the table, or play a defense and leave salary. Play for lower scoring game, especially in a Javonte Williams game script, which is an angle that I really like. So that'll do it for this video. Make sure you go read our daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com after this. Our writer Bismo will give his rankings, his slate notes, his lineup construction tips. Normally he has some different thoughts than I do, so it's nice to get another perspective on the slate. That'll be up early this afternoon. Again, that's included in your OccupyFantasy.com membership. Models up and running with projected ownership and rankings for all players on tonight's slate. And our lineup builder. We have an important announcement. It's actually coming tomorrow. I know I've teased this a few times. The new announcement is coming tomorrow. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here. It's free to do so. You'll get notified when that announcement goes live. So for Occupy, I'm Brian. Thanks for listening. Good luck and enjoy tonight's Raiders and Cowboys showdown slate.